Hi everyone, this is Amity and I'm the Director of the National Ombudsman Resource Center, so thanks for joining us today. We're going to go ahead and get started because we're right at the top of the hour. So welcome all new state ombudsmen that are on the call and mentors. We really appreciate both of you, all of you being on the call today. Just so you know, during today's presentations, all lines will be muted, but you can answer your questions or comments into the chat box. If you go to the bottom of your screen, there's a little Q&A feature and you can enter your questions there. So we will do our best to answer as many of those questions at the end and have a nice discussion after the presentations are done. We're also going to try, if you want to actually speak, instead of enter your comment, you can raise your hand. There's an option on your little toolbar to raise your hand. And you can do that as well. It should be, I believe, next to your name. And Carol will try to unmute your line so you can speak later on. So just want to give you a rundown on the technology. And the webinar will be recorded, and the recording and materials will be available on the password protected side of the website, which Katie's going to go over for those of you that are brand new after today's presentation. So instead of trying to unmute everyone's line to introduce themselves and their state, which we've done before and have not been successful yet, I'm just going to run down the list of who I can see are online. And there's one person at least that's maybe logged in on or just called in on the phone, so I don't see a name, but I see Kelly Richards, Mark Miller, Michael Phillips, Patricia Hall, Sean Londrigan, Stephanie Wheeler. So thank you all for joining us today, and I'm sure we may have some others join us as well as that phone number that I don't recognize. So let's go ahead and get started. For our agenda today, we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about what NORC, the National Ombudsman Resource Center, what we do and how we support not just you as a state ombudsman, but also your program representatives, but focusing largely on our support of state ombudsmen. Katie is going to review the NORC website with you, show you how to move around, and definitely let you know how to reach us if you have any questions. We're going to show you just a few key NORC resources and talk a little bit about how to use those, and maybe have time to talk about current and future NORC work. We may not have time to get to that today. I actually have to hop off the webinar a little early, but we will see you in person in May, and I will have a lot more information during that NASOP meeting. And I also provide updates during the NASOP board calls, which all NASOP members are welcome to join, and so you can get monthly updates about where we are with our work during those calls, because we may not have time today. And then we're going to hear from Lori Sminteka. She's the Executive Director of Consumer Voice. She's going to talk about the mission of Consumer Voice, the work that they do, and then how they support ombudsman programs. And then we're going to have a closing and wrap up where we talk about some resources and upcoming training opportunities, and of course, share our contact information so you can reach us. So a little bit about NORC. For those of you that don't know, we are funded by a grant from the Administration on Aging, Administration for Community Living. So you've probably already heard from Louise Ryan, and she helps us with our work, oversees our work, and is the grant manager, for lack of a better word, for ACL, as well as working in the Ombudsman office as an Ombudsman specialist at ACL. So we are actually anticipating the new call for proposals for the next NORC grant cycle to come up in March. So we are operated by the National Consumer Voice for Quality Long-Term Care, also called Consumer Voice, which you'll hear from Lori here in a minute. And we do have, we work closely with Advancing States, formerly known as NASHUID, which was the National States United for Aging and Disability. So basically it's the Association for State Unit Directors. And we provide support, technical assistance, and training for ombudsman programs. That training includes webinars, of course, and those are free. In-person training. We do 2 orientations, one in the fall and one in the spring. We have the State Ombudsman Conference as well. We have a lot of resources, including some snapshots here of the Ombudsman Outlook, which is a quarterly e-newsletter. and a monthly NORC Notes, which is a email that with some graphics that reminds you of some NORC resources we have available and how to use those. And we also have a lot of other resources and tip sheets and reference guides. And there's a screenshot of our most recent one on trauma-informed care here. We provide technical assistance. We provide information about program management. We have more than 20 issue pages. So you can, if you're interested, for example, in electronic monitoring devices, we have an issue page that's brand new just about those. We have a library online with links to federal laws and regulations. And then we even have a lot of information for you to share with consumers and residents. If you haven't met us in person, here's a little picture. Carol is in the plaid, I'm in the middle, and Katie is in the nice cardigan. And for technical assistance, please ask us anything, especially as a new state ombudsman. There is no dumb question. There's no, please don't be embarrassed about anything you ask. If you ask, I guarantee it's been asked before. And if we don't know the answer, we at least know who to direct you to. Sometimes it may be ACL, sometimes it may be a policy expert, etc. So please reach out to us. Katie's email is in this slide, and you can email her, and she will funnel them to where they need to go. We also do what's called queries of State Ombudsman, and those are based on questions we receive from you all. And there's a screenshot right here of a question from Texas back in July. And we send that question out to all state ombudsmen, and then we compile those responses into a very informal summary sheet and share that, of course, with the state that asked that question. And then they're available for you all as well on this link on the protected side of the website. So just a little reminder, those are really just for state ombudsman access only, and they're really informal answers, so they're not to be shared broadly. And then we have a new resource that goes out twice a month on Fridays, News You Need from NORC. We have NORC updates, we have updates from Consumer Voice, we have other federal updates and reminders, information about maybe upcoming webinars that you may be interested in. We do encourage you, especially if you see a webinar that's you think would be helpful, not from us, maybe it's ACL, but we included it on our News You Need email, to share that with your program representatives. Please share any NORC webinars or resources with your program representatives as well. This News You Need email is just a way for us to try to be really concise and share information that we feel you need to have at least twice a month.
Amity, this is Carol. That News You Need is only sent to State Ombudsman, correct? As opposed to the previous slide that showed publications that we send out to all representatives that we have emails for.
Yes, and thanks for reiterating that. I thought I mentioned that, but yes, they only go to State Ombudsman. You can see in the subtitle, biweekly updates for State Ombudsman. So it just goes to you all. It's just for your eyes only, unless you see, like I said, a webinar or a resource that you want to share with your program reps. So thank you, Carol. And you will see if we have a query, that query would be in the News You Need as well, unless it's a time-sensitive one that we send out as a separate email from Katie. So just keep your eyes out for those. And last but not least, we actually archive all these emails too, and they're available on the State Ombudsman side of the website, and that link is available here. So it could be that you thought you saw something somewhere and you don't remember exactly where you saw it, then click on this link and you can look back at those old emails. Thanks, Carol. So we provide assistance specifically for new state ombudsmen. They are considered in our orientation process for 2 years. As you know, if you're a new state ombudsman, you received a welcome packet from Katie that has a lot of information in it. We strongly encourage you to review that information. We also work hand in hand with NASOP, the National Association for State Ombudsman Programs, to match you up with a mentor. And we encourage you to set up monthly calls with your mentor and really rely on that person for peer-to-peer support. That person, whoever your mentor is, just like us, won't have the answer to every question, but they at least could maybe point you to someone that could, or just say, hey, you need to ask NORC about that because they may have a better perspective of what all state programs are doing instead of just my experience. So please rely on that relationship and be in communication with them. We have a training curriculum specifically for new state ombudsmen, which I'll get to a little bit in a couple slides. As I mentioned earlier, we have 2 in-person orientations. Our next one coming up is in May during the State Ombudsman Conference, and then the one after that will be in the fall at the Consumer Voice Conference. And we have 2 webinars a year as well, so obviously today, and then another one in either August or September, so keep your eye out for that. And I will say too that just because our official orientation process is 2 years, you can stay on for longer if you feel like you need to, and we often have state ombudsmen that do that. We've even had state ombudsmen that have been ombudsmen for more than 5 years that were a mentor that came to orientation with their mentee and then told us afterwards, wow, I'm really glad I came because I actually picked up something new. Sometimes it just takes hearing something over and over, or maybe a different way, years removed from that time period when you're new and everything is overwhelming. So Carol will reach out to you once your 2 years is coming close to an end and just ask if you want to stay on, and feel free to stay on as long as you want. So as I mentioned, we have a lot of resources, but I'm just going to highlight really a couple that are specifically for state ombudsmen and how you can use them. New state ombudsman training. We have a web page specifically for you guys. We hope that you can visit this link, and then it has 5 steps to kind of walk you through what you need to know. We try to have a philosophy of talking about what you need to know, what's good to know, and what's fun to know. And this is the nuts and bolts of what you need to know. So step 1, as you can see on the screenshot on your right, is getting to know the basics. And I circled here with the red circles the links to our online training curriculum, which is on the next slide, as well as the individual documents for each module. And those are called our self-study guides. And those were designed specifically from the state ombudsman perspective, because we do have what's called the NORC curriculum, which is like a basic curriculum that we hope states will weave into their initial certification training for all program representatives. And then we took that original content and then tailored these self-study guides specifically for state ombudsmen. So if you have no ombudsman experience, we strongly encourage you to walk through this training. Even if you were a regional before you became a state ombudsman, we still encourage you to do the training too, because it's really from the state-wide program management perspective. So these are a couple screenshots of what that curriculum actually looks like. So if you would have clicked on that first link that was circled, it would take you to this on the left-hand side. And you can go to that link as well. And then when you click on, at the bottom of that, it says click here to access the online version of the curriculum. You would go to this, and it's a Google platform for right now, but it'll walk you through the state ombudsman curriculum online. So I encourage you to do that if you haven't already, or even revisit it if you did it a few years ago. So this is a resource that we created years ago based on the Older Americans Act and those requirements of the Ombudsman program that are in the Act. And we have a version for state ombudsman as well as one for people that manage local ombudsman programs. And this tool is fantastic. It's really a self-assessment just for something for you to do that provides information and recommendations that determine 13 components that are really considered fundamental to having a strong, effective ombudsman program. And these elements within each component are called indicators, are used to assess the program and what's considered to be really exemplary practices that programs should strive to achieve. So as you get to know your program as a new state ombudsman, this really would be a good exercise to help you understand both the core components of an effective ombudsman program and help you identify your program's strengths and weaknesses. And when you have a new local ombudsman come on that's maybe managing a local program, they could walk through something, this, companion piece for local ombudsman. And we have, because I failed to mention in that last slide, that the tool is rather comprehensive, meaning it's really, really long, and we recognize that. So a few years ago, we created what we called mini tools, and these mini tools take all 13 of those components, but only 3 indicators of those components. So you would fill out this mini tool, and based on your score, you could quickly identify which area you need to focus on. So instead of doing the huge comprehensive tool, you could do this mini tool to kind of get you kick-started on the areas that really need more attention for your program. And there is, again, a mini tool for state ombudsman and one for local, and we even have instructional briefs on how to use them, and we did a webinar explaining how to use them, and then we had a state ombudsman and a local talk about why they found them helpful to walk through and do that self-assessment. So like I said, we have a lot more information. Katie will walk you through the backside of the website, which is just for you all, but I wanted to call your attention to on the homepage of the NORC website, at the very bottom on the left, there's a little button that says Key NORC Resources, and you can click on that, and it'll take you to a lot of what we consider our core resources. And those I would encourage you to review and then share with your program representatives as they're working through specific areas, whether it be understanding the ombudsman rule or a complaint investigation process or systems advocacy or so on. So with that, sorry to go through that really quickly, but I want to make sure not to step on anyone else's time. These slides will be provided, and then of course here's our link to our website, our email, and then we have Facebook, Twitter, and we have a new app as well. So thank you very much, and I'll pass it to Katie.
Hi everyone. My name is Katie, and I am the Program and Outreach Associate with NORC, and I'm just going to walk you through the website and show you how things are organized and where to find resources. So the first thing that I wanted to go over is the difference between the Consumer Voice website and the NORC website. So right now, if you can see my screen, we are on the NORC website, and you can tell that we're on the NORC website because the URL is ltcombudsman.org, and the Consumer Voice URL is theconsumervoice.org. So to go back and forth between the two, you would just click this button in the top left corner, and it'll take you to the Consumer Voice website. And the banner on this website is blue, where if you go back, the banner on the NORC website is green. So that's just how you can tell the difference between which website you're on. And the Consumer Voice website is for family members, consumers, and advocates, where the NORC website is specifically for ombudsman programs. And the Consumer Voice website does advocacy regarding long-term care issues and public policy, where the NORC website provides information, resources, and technical assistance for ombudsman programs. But ombudsman programs can use Consumer Voice materials for consumer education and advocacy, and then you can adapt them for your own use. But the NORC website is mainly for ombudsman. So I just wanted to go over a couple of the main pages on the top and then go through the home page here and just walk you through some of the important pages. So the first thing I wanted to go over was these two sections at the bottom. So under news and press, this is where we'll feature articles that quote ombudsman programs or just mention ombudsman programs and what they're doing in their state. Where then under Resource Center updates, this is where you can find the most recent NORC resources. They'll all be posted here. Okay, and then if you scroll up, you'll see this little map icon, and then to the left it says Visit Our Map, and it's to locate ombudsman programs, volunteer opportunities near you. So if you click Visit Our Map, we have a map of the whole US, and then it links to a page for each state And on each page, it has contact information. So at the top, it'll be the State Ombudsman's contact information, and then all the local programs information. And we update this as regularly as we can. We can only update it if we receive information from you. So we do our best to reach out to you to update it, but if you notice something on your state's page that's incorrect, you can send us an email and I'll update it. Okay. And then, as Amity was just mentioning, on the home page, there is this button that says Key NORC Resources. So people were having a hard time finding some of our important resources. So we made this page where some of our most important resources are all in one place, and it is organized by topic. And then if you want more information on that topic, it links to the page where that resource is located. So this is our reference guide on responding to allegations of abuse, and it'll link right to it. But then if you want to find more resources on abuse, it'll link you right to the issue page. And then you just get to that from the home page, the button at the bottom. And then next to that button, there's a button to join our email list. So if all of you should be on our email list, but if you're not, you can sign up here, or you can send this link to Ombudsman in your program, and they can sign themselves up to receive our emails. And this is only to receive NORC emails, so the Ombudsman Outlook and the NORC Notes, like Amity was mentioning. This isn't to receive consumer voice emails. You would have to sign up yourself to receive consumer voice emails. And to do that, you go to the Consumer Voice website, and they have a similar form. It's just right here. It says Join Our Action Network, and it looks pretty similar, but you just have to sign up twice because it's 2 different email groups. Okay. And then, so then I wanted to highlight some of the pages at the top here. The first one I wanted to go over were the issue pages. So like Amity said, we have over 20 issue pages, and they're organized alphabetically. So if you're looking for a resource related to a particular issue, it's most likely going to be on this page. So for example, we have a page all about abuse, neglect, and exploitation. And then this page is organized by types of abuse. So if you're looking for sexual abuse, this is the same page. It just jumps you down to where all of the resources on sexual abuse are located. Okay, and then, sorry, I'm going to scroll to the top, so sorry if I'm going fast. Next, I wanted to go to the library. So under the library, we have federal laws and regulations. So this is where you can find all of our resources related to the Older Americans Act, the nursing home regulations, HCBS final regulations, and then there's this big button for the long-term care ombudsman final rule. So all NORC resources, federal resources related to regulations are on these pages. And then also under the library, I wanted to highlight this is where the Ombudsman Outlook is located. So this is the newsletter that goes out quarterly, and this goes out to all ombudsmen. And it's pretty lengthy. It has a lot of good information. So this is where, if you miss it in your email, you can come back to the website and read archived issues. Okay. And then, I wanted to go to the support tabs, and there's a couple important things under here. The first one is the NORC webinars. So all of our webinars are on their designated issue page. So if we do a webinar on electronic monitoring, it'll also be on the electronic monitoring issue page, but this is where we archive all of our webinars. So it's a quick place to look for things. So all of our 2019 webinars, this is the landing page, so you can search for them. And then if you click on the year, you'll find the recording and all the materials for the webinar. And then also under support is the NORC Notes. Like Amity was saying, this is the monthly email that we send out to all programs, and this is the landing page. So again, you can search for the title and then read a past issue if you missed it in your email. Next under support is NORS. So we have a lot of new NORS information, and we updated these pages as we were updating materials this year. So if you're looking for training materials, NORS FAQs, NORS data, it's all located under the support tab. And then I'm going to jump a couple bullets to Ombudsman program examples. So this is a new page that we created because our issue pages were getting really long. So we moved all of the examples from states to one page. So it's organized by topic, just like the issue pages, and it's alphabetical. So if you're looking for resources from a state related to abuse, they're all on this page. And the issue page links to this page. So don't feel like this page is pretty long. So if you're looking for, LGBT elders resources, on the LGBT elders issue pages, you can be linked to here to find examples from states. And then, sorry, I'm scrolling to the top again. I know it's making your screen move quickly. But then under support, we also have technical assistance FAQs. So we receive a lot of questions by phone and by email, and we have given really detailed responses on the website here to common questions that we receive. So these are organized by topic too. And if you just click on the question, the response will come, and there's links to more information and resources. So these are all really common questions that we receive. And then also under the support tab is all of our training materials. So we have the NORC curriculum, which is what Amity was saying is based in Google. And these are the links to the modules. So there's 5 modules, and every state ombudsman has links to review the results of the quizzes. So if you click on one module, you'll see that it's based in Google. And then if you scroll to the bottom, sorry, I'm going to go fast. Each state has their own quiz, and each state ombudsman should have a link to review the results of anyone in their state that's taken this quiz. And if you don't have the link, I can send it to you. So each state ombudsman should have 5 links to review the quizzes because there's 5 modules. And I can also send you links to the answer keys because it's your responsibility to grade them. The links will just show you who's taken the quiz and what their answers were. It won't say if it's right or wrong. And if you have questions about this or need me to send you links again, I'm happy to do that. Okay, so then the last thing I wanted to go over was the state ombudsman side of the website. So right now I'm already logged in, but right here there's a button that says log in, and then this section will pop up. And this is for state ombudsman, so you know that you're on the state ombudsman side of the website if it has this image. So every page that's just for state ombudsman will have this image that says private. And then on this side of the website, it's just information for state ombudsman, so it's not really applicable to program representatives, and so it really shouldn't be shared with them. On this side, you can find information about the conference in Pittsburgh. Then there's also this contact list, so if you want to contact another state ombudsman, I update this list every month. And then there's also summary sheets, which Amity was mentioning about. We'll send out queries if a state is working on something and then they want to gain information from other state ombudsmen. We'll send out a query and then compile them into summary sheets, and this is where they're located. Also organized by topic, and they look like this, but they are, they'll be emailed, but they're also put on our website. And then, sorry, I'm going to go back to the home. On this page, we also have examples of MOUs and MOAs, examples of conflict of interest screening tools, examples of decertification letters to individuals, and a bunch more information. So if you can't find something, you can always email me and I can send you the link. So every state ombudsman should have a login to this side of the website, and if you don't, I can send it to you. And I think that that's all I wanted to mention to the website about the website, but I just wanted to reiterate what Amity said, is that we have a new app for ombudsman that NORC created, and this is for all ombudsmen, not just state ombudsmen. And to find it, you just search LTC Ombudsman Resource Center in the App Store or Google Play Store, and it should pop right up. It has our NORC logo. This is what this first slider, oops, sorry. The second slider is what the app looks like. And I think that that's all, unless there are questions.
There are no questions at this time. Thank you very much. Katie, will turn it over to Lori.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to take control of the PowerPoint. So hi everyone, nice to be with you this afternoon. This is Lori Smetanka, and I'm the Executive Director of the National Consumer Voice for Quality Long-Term Care. I'm glad to be with you today. I'm going to give a brief overview of the consumer voice and who we are, and talk a little bit about the relationship between our organization and the long-term care ombudsman program. So first, a little bit of history about us. We were founded in 1975, and the picture on your screen is of Elma Holder, who's the founder. We were first known as the National Citizens Coalition for Nursing Home Reform, or NCNR, and Elma and a group of advocacy organizations from the state level from around the country came together in 1975 to form the organization because of public concern about substandard care in nursing homes. And one fun fact about Elma that actually just came out yesterday is she has been named one of 40 noteworthy newsmakers in the field of long-term care, as designated by McKnight's Long-Term Care News, which is one of the publications that really focuses on the long-term care field. But they said Elma has, more than most individuals, has made such a difference in the long-term care field and the impact on residents. And we're really proud of that, and that she's our founder, and that we still have a great relationship with her, and that she's connected with us even today. So we are celebrating our 45th year in existence this year, which is also something that we're really proud of. We, when we formed first in 1975, the focus of the organization was really mostly on nursing homes. Because that's the work that Elma had been done. That was really the primary area of long-term care services that were being provided at that time. But as you all know, there are lots of options for people receiving services right now: assisted living, home and community-based services, boarding care, personal care, whatever you call it in your particular state. And through the years, the organization and the work that we've done have also been looking at these other areas as well, because what we know is that people are looking to receive services in different places. They all have very similar needs of wanting quality care. They want their rights respected. They want to have quality of life wherever it is that they live. And so in 2010, our board of directors initiated a strategic planning process and decided to expand the focus of the organization to advocate for people who need long-term services and supports in any setting, not just nursing homes. And at that time, we also changed the name of the organization to the National Consumer Voice for Quality Long-Term Care. So the vision of the organization focuses, as I mentioned, on all consumers of long-term care services. And really the things that we focus on are the fact that they should be treated with dignity and respect. They should have a range of affordable quality options across care settings that make it possible for them to receive care and services in the location and manner of their choice, so that they can attain a high quality of life and have quality of care in whatever setting that it is that they choose to live. So that's how we focus our work. And in order to do the work that we do it in a number of different ways. So we are an advocacy organization. We focus our work nationally, particularly around federal policy and program work. So we advocate for public policies both with Congress and with federal agencies that would support quality of care and quality of life issues. We like to say that we not only work for long-term care consumers, but with long-term care consumers. That's been an important function of our organization, is to have residents and people receiving services at our side and directing the work that we do. So we include them in a number of different ways through our on our board and leadership council, which is the governance organizations for the consumer voice, as well as a consumer advisory committee that we have that's made up of residents or former residents of long-term care from around the country. We always are trying to reach out to consumers to get their feedback on the work that we do, and as we're developing policy issues, to make sure that we are working along with residents as much as possible. Other work that we do is to focus on empowering and educating consumers and families. So we develop a lot of resources and information that they can use to do self-advocacy and promote their own rights in their facilities. We train and support individuals and groups that advocate for consumers, such as long-term care ombudsmen and citizen advocates from around the country. And we know that that most of the care issues and the quality that's provided is related to the staff that are in long-term care facilities. And so our work also promotes the critical role of direct care workers and the best practices that in quality care delivery for the services that are provided, so that we want people to know that good care can be provided, is being provided around the country, and to highlight what that looks like for people. We have a fairly small staff for the scope of work that it is that we're doing. Amity gave you an indication of some of the NORC staff, but here we show you that we have about 8 full-time staff people and a number of consultants that work with us on a variety of projects. We're all working together all of the time, and we are focused on a number of different projects and policy work that we do to promote the mission and the vision of the organization and to promote quality care across the country. We are a membership organization, and our members are made up of ombudsmen, ombudsman individuals and ombudsman programs, citizen advocates, residents and families, policy professionals, and health professionals and direct care workers, and others who are interested in promoting quality long-term care. It's a hallmark of the organization that we do work closely with citizen advocates and ombudsman programs across the country, as well as representatives of residents, as well as the residents themselves, as I mentioned earlier. One of the things that has been really key for the organization has been the partnership that we've had with long-term care ombudsman programs throughout the organization's history. Essentially, we were formed and created around the same time, and have had a really close partnership through all of the years of existence, both of the Ombudsman program and of the organization. We have worked very closely together on policy and program issues. And in fact, ombudsmen have importantly been part of the Consumer Voices leadership since the inception of the organization, serving on the board of directors and on our leadership council, which is the body that really directs our program and policy work. And the chart that I have listed here for you just gives a indication of the type of individuals that make up our leadership council. It's really divided into thirds. A third of the council is made up of long-term care ombudsmen, either state, local ombudsmen, or volunteers. A third of the council is made up of consumers, that could be residents, family members, consumer advocates from citizen advocacy organizations that exist in a number of states. And a third of the leadership council is made up of policy experts. And these folks apply to be part of the organization and are elected by both the board and the leadership council to serve. And they provide really important guidance to the staff as we develop a public policy agenda and as we think about the program work that we do, as well as the policy work that we promote. And they really help us form our public policy agenda. And listed before you now are the primary principles of the policy agenda that we're working under right now. Some of the areas that we focus on are that individuals receive person-centered services and supports, because our focus really is on the quality that they receive, that they can direct their own lives, they direct the care that is provided to them, and that goes to the second principle that's in front of you, that consumers have a meaningful voice in the policies that affect them. The third principle that we work under is that the consumers have access to strong, effective advocacy, and under this principle, that's where a lot of our work that's supportive of the long-term care ombudsman program falls. We are I think, very strong advocates for the Ombudsman program, not only in terms of raising visibility of the program, but we advocate along with NASOP and NELTCO and some of your own organizations for funding for the program. And as we do Hill visits and work with the agencies, we talk about how the Ombudsman program supports residents and is effective at improving quality care and quality of life and improving and protecting the rights of individuals. Other principles that we work on as part of our policy agenda is a focus on rights in all long-term care settings, and then that the laws, regulations, and policies that support consumers are not only implemented, but should be strengthened in some cases, and that they should be enforced and funded properly. So our policy agenda has a number of different levels below the principles, and I'm happy to share that with all of you. I'll give it to Carol to send out to you all in the event that you're interested in seeing it. But it is something that really directs the work that we promote in our policy and program work across the country. So the work of the consumer voice, not only do we focus our work on public policy primarily at the federal level, but we also focus some of our work on specific projects, and the Ombudsman Resource Center is one of the projects. It is our largest project, as you could probably tell from the fact that almost half of our staff are devoted to the work of the center. But it is one of the projects of the Consumer Voice. We have a number of others here. For example, we're working with AARP Foundation on a consumer education campaign around avoiding chemical restraints. We've been doing some targeted work around transfer discharge. We're a sub-grantee with the National Center on Elder Abuse, where we focus some work around elder abuse issues. We've been doing work specifically related to family councils. We've just completed a project on nursing home closures and have been working through the Resource Center and with some of our consultants on providing support to ombudsman programs as you implement the new NORS and OAPS systems. And so there are a number of ways that we interact with ombudsman programs around the country on all of the different projects that we do. And in fact, in some of them, we're partners with the ombudsman programs, not just through NORC, but for example, through the transfer and discharge projects that we're doing in California and Utah. We've partnered with the ombudsman programs in those states to do some targeted work around this issue there. So oftentimes, as we work with the programs, our interests are very well aligned, and we'll collaborate on a lot of the work that we do together. What we've learned in the past is that sometimes there's lack of clarity or a little bit of confusion between NORC and the Consumer Voice, since you see information, resources, opportunities for training and or webinars or things like that, both from Consumer Voice and the Ombudsman Resource Center. And just to give a little bit of clarity, I hope, as to the differences between us. So first of all, NORC is a project of the Consumer Voice. So while we do have dedicated staff that work on Ombudsman Resource Center tasks and products, everyone is a consumer voice employee, and we're all part of one team. And so that's, certainly an important thing to remember. But as the Ombudsman program, or the Ombudsman Resource Center rather, provides technical assistance, training, and support for Ombudsman programs, that work is based on a work plan that's been developed and approved by ACL. It's based on taking the needs of the Ombudsman program and the representatives into account. When you probably have seen recently a questionnaire that had gone out asking some questions about what types of issues you're focused on, or resources that you'd like to see, or trainings that can be provided to you. The Resource Center focuses on those things specifically related to the Ombudsman program. The Ombudsman role related to certain issues such as abuse investigation, for example, or supporting residents through the survey process, or trauma-informed care are some of the issues that we've worked on, or transfer discharge, looking at not only what the rights are for the individual, but also what's the Ombudsman role in supporting them through that process. And also the Resource Center provides skills training for Ombudsmen on a number of those issues. The Consumer Voice, while we also provide technical assistance training and support on a number of issues, it's much more broad than just Ombudsman focused. It's more broadly advocacy focused, and we also include legislative, regulatory, and systemic advocacy. As I mentioned earlier, we work on the Hill, Capitol Hill, promoting policies and legislation that would promote the interests of consumers of long-term care. We work very closely with CMS, reviewing, not only commenting on regulations that they may be proposing, but also on guidance that they write related to those regulations. We, along with representatives from NASOP, for example, will work closely together on stakeholder work groups that CMS may pull together to represent the interests of residents before CMS. We'll lobby together sometimes, or we'll collaborate on either visits on the Hill or different regulatory meetings that we may be promoting. But we work very closely with NASOP and NALTCO on the policies and how they are implemented across the country, and the work that we're doing, so that we can really work hand in hand as much as possible on a number of the different issues, so that we have multiple voices speaking on behalf of residents, not just the consumer voice and NASOP working independently. As I mentioned, we do represent the interests of residents and consumers with policymakers, but we really work very hard to bring the residents' voice to the table, trying to get them to meetings with us whenever possible. We arrange a dialogue between residents and federal officials every year at our annual conference, which is in the fall. We really work to engage consumers and ombudsmen and other advocates in policy initiatives and federal advocacy, and work very closely together with them on that. There are a number of ways that we try to communicate with ombudsmen. You saw a lot from Katie and Amity about some of the emails and resources available through the Resource Center. Through the Consumer Voice, we have a very robust website as well, and I know Katie had just clicked on the homepage, but there are a number of issue pages there. There are templates and resources that you can use not only in your program and with your representatives, but also to share with consumers about a range of issues, and we include policy information on the consumer website, the Consumer Voice website as well. There are a number of ways to stay engaged with us, to stay on top of what the issues are that are being proposed and could be implemented not only nationally, but in some cases in your states. We have a weekly e-newsletter called The Voice. It comes out on Tuesday every week. We prepare policy issue briefs around topics of interest or new programs that are being proposed. So for example, we released one just within the last couple of weeks on the new patient-driven payment model, and held a webinar around that. So those are located on our website right now. And we do action alerts when there are policy issues that need immediate attention, such as comments that need to be written around regulations or letters that need sign-on letters or legislation that needs immediate action. Those are things that you'll see from Consumer Voice for you to take action and work systemically, that is one of the requirements for Ombudsman programs is systemic advocacy, and we partner very closely with you all on that. There are a number of events that Consumer Voice promotes, webinars, as I mentioned. We have an annual conference in the fall every year. We have started doing Hill Days, and you'll be getting more information about that coming out. That'll be in July of this year. And even if you can't make it to DC to go visit your representatives on the Hill, we are encouraging folks to do a virtual Hill Day where you're working with your representatives in the field offices in your own states. And as I mentioned, there are a number of resources and materials that you can use as part of your program. And we also, through the Consumer Voice, are available if you have questions about regulation or about different issues or about laws that are being proposed, or if you're having challenges with respect to a particular proposal or issue in your state, Consumer Voice is available to help you to the extent that we can on promoting some of those issues. I would encourage you all to join as a member, have your program join as a member. You get discounts on annual conference registration, on some of the resources that we have available for sale, and there are other benefits to being a member, including access to trainings and resources that we do not make available to the general public. And as with the Resource Center, you can follow us on social media. So I'm going to stop there as well, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Lori. Lots of great information. No one has, excuse me, typed in a question, and no one has said anything in the chat. I'm kind of reluctant to just open up everybody's phone because who knows what's going on in the background. Excuse me, but if anyone has if anyone would like to speak, if you would just go down to the chat button at the bottom of your screen and say say that you want to speak, please do that. I do see a question that just came up, and that is, do we have access to the work plan? And I'm not sure if that is the, I guess probably the NORC work plan. Lori, what?
Well, that's, so that's not something that generally we have sent out to across the country. I think that's something we'll have to talk about with the Resource Center staff, because it provides just broad brushes over what some of the work is being done at the center. And I think the way we share the broad topics through the center is through the updates that we provide and the center provides to you through the orientation processes and the updates that they give to NASOP on a regular basis. So at this point, it's not something we've sent out, but we can have some conversation about whether or not that we should do that.
Okay, thank you. At this point, no one else. Oh, well, we got a thank you. So thank you. Any other questions anyone has about the work of Consumer Voice or the work of the Resource Center? And while people are thinking, Katie, is there anything else that you want to add regarding the website or people updating their individual links to their local programs or other?
I don't think so. We're going to be reaching out to State Ombudsman in the next couple of weeks to update the contact information. So if you see an email from us, I would just ask to respond, but I think that we covered everything.
Okay, thank you. I will remind people that registration for the conference in Pittsburgh is open, and people need to be making their hotel reservations and registering. Katie had shown you on the private side on the homepage under the picture of Patricia Hunter is the that's where the details of the conference are, so you can register there. Excuse me, it's free for all state ombudsmen or their representative that's taking their place, although we would hope that you would come in person. If you are bringing staff with you, those staff would pay $250. So it's free for the state ombudsman, but it's $250 for the for any other staff that would come with you. That conference, if you've not been to it, is like a lifeline, and you will get to meet probably 45 to 48 of your colleagues at that conference. You should have received a copy of the letter from ACL stating that this is a mandatory training and that state ombudsmen are expected to be there unless there's some extenuating circumstances keeping them from coming. Lori, is there anything else you would like to add?
I think the only thing I would like to add is, as Katie mentioned, in order to receive emails and information from the Consumer Voice, you need to select to do that. So on our webpage, you can, right on the homepage, there's a button to click on the Action Network, which will give you access to our, not only our e-newsletter, but our policy briefs, and which interprets new policies that may be coming out or new rules or things like that, as well as action alerts, which often do require immediate response from states around particular policy issues that will affect not only the residents and the people receiving services, but sometimes ombudsman programs themselves. And I guess the only other thing is don't ever hesitate to reach out not only to the Resource Center staff, but any of us on Consumer Voice. We're here to help you, and look forward to continuing our work with you moving forward.
Great, thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining us. Look forward to seeing you in Pittsburgh in May, and possibly having you be a part of the listening audience for the upcoming series of volunteer management webinars. Everybody have a great day, and again, as every one of us have said, don't feel shy about reaching out to either us or your mentor. So with that, we will close this webinar and wish you a good day. Thank you.
Thank you.